Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Mountain Talk. It's been a very long time since we've done one of those. I think it's been since the hardcore video, and it's nice to get back and kind of get into these. If you haven't seen one of these before, this is kind of like our less formal, less thought out versions of our mountain reviews, where we just kind of talk about things that have us thinking. Now, the topic today is shiny Pokemon, as you could probably tell from the title and the thumbnail. And I'm not even sure what the gameplay is going to be for this. I'm literally just talking to myself in the garage. Maybe I'll throw in some DLC gameplay. Gameplay was not the point, alright? The point of this video is just to kind of talk about shiny Pokemon and the path that they're headed on. It's really felt, especially with this latest DLC release, that Gamefreak is just not on the same page as the fans are with what they want with shiny Pokemon. And I figured it'd be something kind of interesting to talk about a little bit, because there seems to be a lot to talk about, especially with Scarlet and Violet, just doing things very differently than other games. My first issue, and really the main issue, let's be clear, this is the main issue, is just why are we shiny locking so much stuff? I mean, seriously, Game Freak, please explain to me, or if any of you guys have seen an interview that I haven't seen, if you know something that I don't know, please let me know, because I just actually can't fathom why we're shiny locking all of these Pokemon. First, take Scarlet and Violet alone. So the starters are shiny locked. The box legends, shiny locked. Ruin Quartet, Gimme Ghoul, Golden Go, and 7-star raids are all shiny locked. Now, you know, it's fair to question, does this even matter? Does shiny locking Pokemon, having them not be shiny locked, does it even matter? For the most largest part of the audience, it probably doesn't matter. And that's fair to say. But I think for a lot of, especially the older generation of people who play Pokemon, I think the people who, kind of complain the game is so easy, blah, 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 blah. We're not the target audience, right? The adults are not, people over 20, we are not the target audience of Pokemon, even though we like to think that we are. We're not. And that is unfortunate. That is frustrating. So shiny Pokemon has kind of become, at least from my perspective, has been what a lot of the older fans kind of tunnel into, because it just gives you, it makes you feel like your time is valued when you're kind of grinding and catching and, going in, just grinding for shinies and all that stuff like that. But even then, just for the general person who doesn't shiny hunt or whatever, I remember my first shiny Pokemon, I didn't even know what shiny Pokemon were, and I remember I was lucky enough for it to be a Ditto, which is a cool shiny, but regardless of what the Pokemon was, I just seeing a Pokemon that was the wrong color, I remember being so young and just being like, I didn't even know what was going on. I literally killed the thing. I thought my game was glitching. It's like a classic old internet thread. I was that kid. I thought my game was glitching, and I have those good memories, and it's just a bummer that with the more shiny Pokemon we're locking, it just takes that away from that it takes that experience away from people, which is a little bit frustrating for me. And also, it's just like, why are we shiny locking Pokemon that are seemingly not, I don't know, they're not that crazy. Like, starters are not traditionally shiny locked. I know they have been in previous games, and I know they kind of talked about why. They kind of said that they didn't want random people being rewarded for just doing what everyone else is doing, which is fair, but I don't know, why actively take it out? Just leave it in. Who cares if 1 out of 4,000 people are getting a free shiny starter just for booting up the game? Which is, it is interesting when you think about it, because, if the game gets, I don't know how many copies the damn game sells, but it sells hundreds of thousands of copies, maybe even millions of copies. So, the amount of shiny Pokemon that are being generated just off people booting up the game, you take 100,000 people, 1 out of 4,000. So many people are getting shinies just out of 100,000. So I kind of get where they're coming from in this idea of, like, maybe, okay, the starter Pokemon, but, like, just these basic Pokemon, Goldengo. Why is Goldengo and Gimme Ghoul shiny locked? To me, it just doesn't make sense. Especially with it being, like, the 1,000th Pokemon, it just seems so monumental and fun, and it's such a disappointment that this Pokemon is shiny locked. And honestly, and this is another content we'll kind of talk about later, the shinies aren't even that nice, and we're not even going to get into that. Well, at least now, we're going to get into that later, because that's a whole rabbit hole in itself, but yeah, whatever, right? I mean, 7-star raids, I don't know why these are locked. It's kind of disappointing. It's the least efficient thing you could ever farm ever, in my opinion. Like, you would literally have to do them over and over and over again to find one. I have heard of an exploit where if you come across a shiny Pokemon, you can actually leave that den somehow, and you can rejoin it with friends, and it's shiny for everyone. So, okay, yeah, there's exploits, but it's like, oh my god, dude, in this game, there's so many exploits already. People hacking Pokemon. There's home. It's like, what is even the point of shiny locking? It's such a disappointment that this game has introduced so many new Pokemon that are now shiny locked. It really is a bummer. I mean, all the legends are shiny locked. I mean, My first shiny Pokemon ever that I actually grinded for and caught was a shiny Dialga, and resetting was an amazing experience. And it's just lame that this experience is being taken away from so many people. I mean, imagine a world where, you know, you and your boys hop on, do a 7-star raid, it's Charizard, and you open that raid up, and that motherfucker's black, and you know you got that shiny, and everyone got a shiny. Something that's never been seen in Pokemon before, and I thought that 7 stars would be a beautiful experience for, is shared shinies, you know. For as long as, for all the games that I can think of, when you catch a shiny, it's your shiny. They've never had that be a shareable experience, and I thought 7-star raids was a beautiful opportunity to have that, you know, to have a shiny appear in that moment, and for all you and your friends, either in real life or in the Discord call, to get excited and to share that moment, I think was a huge missed opportunity, despite the exploits. I don't care at this point if there's exploits. To an extent, obviously, to an extent, but as I've seen now, I haven't seen anything too game-breaking, too crazy, that, you know, warrants giving up that possibility of that magical moment, you know what I mean? And I mean, this is just base game. You know, going into the DLC, which I think a lot of people recently have been getting upset about, I mean, there's so many more shiny locked Pokemon. Blood Moon Ursaluna, the legendary, like, pink poison trio from the first DLC. I'm pretty sure the Sinnoh starter egg was shiny locked. I could go on forever. Ogerpone, I'm pretty sure it's Terra locked, or Terrakapos, or whatever. My pronunciations are horrible. I'm pretty sure those are all shiny locked. It's just such a bummer, and it's crazy because it just feels like they are shutting down our fun, and specifically the fun of the shiny hunters, which again is a very small portion of the community, but it's also such an active and vocal, and active is really the best word. Like, the shiny hunting community keeps these games going after, like, you know, the hype, you know what I mean? Like, when all the 13-year-olds and 8-year-olds put the game down for beating the story, you know, it's the shiny hunters that are still making YouTube videos, they're still making content, they're still streaming it. They keep the game going in these dead periods, and maybe that doesn't even matter too. I'm sure the game having a couple streamers going off in the dead periods, it's not making Gamefreak that much more money. Fair. But man, at a certain point, can we just, like, care about the community as a whole? I was gonna say care about the community, but fair, it's a small portion. But man, it's just such a vocal, such a passionate portion of the community. It's such a shame that so many things are being locked in this way. All of the legendaries from the new DLC has been blocked, which is a bummer, because I know that so many people are just like, what's even the point of catching my 100th Zapdos? You know what I mean? Well, who cares? Like, the magic for so many people, especially that older generational audience, is just not caring, really. And again, we're not the target audience, but can we just have the thing that we rock with? I don't know. Let me see, go back to my notes here. I'm not just getting off on that tangent. Oh, yes, let's talk about why they might be locking these things in the first place, because the shinies are fucking ugly. That's not why they're locking them, obviously. It's more of a joke. But why are the shinies? What's up with the shinies? Seriously, I remember back, I mean, everyone knows Gengar, right? The classic Gengar. I'm fine with stuff like that, right? It's old school. Shinies didn't really have, Pokemon in general didn't have the funding, it didn't have the flair it did, you know, so who cares, right? They were just making shinies, they were just making shit. Fair. This is one of the most wealthy companies on the planet, okay? As far as I know, I think that the gaming industry in Japan is very art-focused as well. I do not understand why we're getting shinies that look like Goldengo. Just, seriously, like, it looks like the same thing, man. And Game Freak has proven many times that they can make beautiful fucking shinies. Seriously, they can. I mean, seriously, just in this game alone, just in Scarlet and Violet, I mean, Iron Valiant, beautiful. Relor, beautiful. Shiyu, really solid. The Box Legends, oh my god, the Box Legends are so good. Why are we locking the Box Legends? They look so good, dude. Like, actually, in my opinion, in terms of just shiny forms, I don't actually like their base forms too much. In terms of shiny forms, some of the best legendaries we've had in a while, in my opinion. And the fact that you could ride them, oh my god, imagine you reset your game enough times to where you get the shiny Marided ride. That, I think is fair as locked, I'm not gonna lie. That probably should be locked. But fuck, man, that shit's cool as hell. And going back to the whole thing with like they don't want like random lucky people booting up their game for the first time and getting that shiny legendary. Why don't you just lock it? Okay, I don't know if this is even possible. I do a little bit of coding. I don't know if this is possible because I'm stupid as fuck. Can we just make it so that like it's only locked for the first reset, and then if you reset after that, all the ones after that? Because most people who are playing the game are not gonna just do one reset just to see what happens. So you get that first one out the way, it's locked, nobody's getting their free shit. People who want to reset and go for it, boom, you can reset and go for it. Again, I don't know if that's possible. Sometimes solutions are easier or not, but it's just crazy. I don't understand, and man, I just don't understand why the 1000th Pokemon is getting such an ugly shiny. It's such a disappointment. Pokemon 1000, 4 digits. The Pokemon itself is wonderful, so I'll give it that, but like, it just feels like sometimes they put the shiny, and dude, they honestly might. It feels like they put these shiny color palettes into just like a fucking randomizer, and whenever it comes out, it's like, yeah, this is the colors we're gonna use on this guy, dude. This is the randomizer picked it, you know what I mean? It's not like we get any say over. I don't know, dude. It actually is crazy. But I did kind of want to say, I kind of feel like they have the ability to pick and choose when certain Pokemon have nice shinies. You know, you get a couple that leak through that are just like too good and too iconic of a Pokemon. Like, it almost fits too well. Like Sylveon or Charizard. It's like these guys are iconic Pokemon that get beautiful shinies, and it's favoritism, and that's okay. I think they should have favoritism in these shinies. I think shinies should 1000% have favoritism. Let's just focus on where our favoritism is going, you know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh. So many Pokemon, especially the Golden Go one, just doesn't make any sense to me. The legendaries, I feel like should have higher quality shinies. So many just dull, bland, boring ones that are just a bummer, especially given how much money Pokemon brings in, especially given, you know, shinies aren't really like a hidden secret anymore. They're a very, they're a very front and center thing that people love Pokemon for. People play the game so that they can shiny hunt. And it's a disappointment when your favorite Pokemon shiny looks the same, you know what I mean? I mean, look at the shiny for the pseudo of Scarlet and Violet. It looks so... The Pokemon is so cool. He's so badass. And the shiny is just so, like, uninspired. And boring. It's just the same, and it's so sad. And then you look at motherfuckers like King Gambit. And mwah! But I guess you get blessed with, you know, Bishop and the whatever the Prevo is. You know, they kind of already predetermined this color palette for it. But it's like, oh, why do some look so good and some look so bad? And the ones that look bad are just like on Pokemon that, I don't know, dude. Why are we giving the pseudos the Gengar treatment? Doesn't make sense to me, actually. And maybe this alone would be frustrating, but it wouldn't maybe warrant a video completely. But when you compare that to just how oversaturated other normal shinies have become, it is actually such a bummer that the scales seem to be so weighted differently. For example, just with the introduction of two things, overworld spawns and outbreaks. These two things have just made shiny Pokemon everywhere. So I was a kid, you know, I played every Pokemon, you know, growing up. I'm fucking 23 now, okay? So you can get an idea of how old I was, you know, when the height of, you know, Leaf Green, Fire Red were coming out. I was like 5 or 6 years old. I played all that shit, okay? And in my time playing, I don't know, maybe all those games, up until maybe Sun and Moon, I had only seen 2 shinies in my whole life. I say 2 because there was the Ditto, and there had to have been another one, and I just, again, didn't register what a shiny was. So I probably had 2 in my career in like 5-6 years. Now, I agree that that is not enough, and they should up those numbers. But what they have now is actual insanity. I mean, seriously, with just the overworld roaming spawns, you know, you gotta think, before, when you would go through a route in tall grass, you would maybe get 4 encounters a route, 5, 6 encounters, maybe 10 if you were really going crazy exploring. When you play this game, you get 10 encounters a second. I mean, you do a 360, the stuff behind you is despawning, it's reappearing in front of you in the new spawns. It's like the spawns, that might not be true, okay, that might not be true. But you get what I'm saying, like, the spawns are everywhere, and they are so frequent. Shiny Pokemon are just pooping themselves out there everywhere, just because of how many more encounters you're getting in a playthrough, in a route. It's way more than 10 times. Seriously, it's like 20 times, maybe even more than that. It seriously is crazy, and so many people are getting more shiny Pokemon now, just between me and my friend group. I mean, seriously, we could fill like half a PC of the shiny Pokemon that we've caught just in Scarlet and Violet. And then you add in Pokemon Home, you add in, sorry, not just Home, but you add in Pokemon Go, and the communication between Go, Home, and then the current main lines. It's like people are funneling in. I got a shiny Rayquaza from Pokemon Go. You know how long that shit would take me to get if I reset a real game? I just got it in Pokemon Go. It's transferred. It's in my mainline game. I can pull it up right now. And stuff like that really lowers the value of the shiny Pokemon. But I'm honestly okay with that. I think more people should get more shiny opportunities. However, I do think where it is right now is insanity. It's actually too much. It almost to like an unthought of level. Like, it's crazy that we would go from, 1 out of 4,000. I think that's what it was, right? On the previous 1 out of 4,000 chance to now it's just like it's still 1 out of 4,000, but with so many more encounters. And I just feel like somebody in the Gamefreak team must have thought about that, and they just doesn't matter. They push it to the side, I guess. Let's just fucking lock all the shinies to equal it out, I guess. Like, it's actually so crazy. I don't understand. But it's just so weird that with how everywhere that shiny, and it's like if you want a specific Pokemon, you just do outbreaks. I didn't even get into that. It's like that's the whole other side of the argument. It's like you want the random, frequent, all the time. It's like boom, they're everywhere. You just run around and you'll find one eventually. If you want a specific Pokemon, hell, it's almost even easier. You just get an outbreak, and then 20 minutes later, you'll get your shiny. So it's super weird, and I'm okay with. I'll say this: I'd rather it be how it is now than how it was before. Even though I think now it's too much, I still prefer that. But it's just like, why do we have this system on the left where it's just too many shinies everywhere? And then you go to the system on the right, and it's just like we're locking everything without reason. And it seems to be without reason. It's just, it's seriously a bug. And I don't know, man. It's just worrying because it just seems like whoever the shiny team is at Gamefreak, they just have a very different vision than what both the community wants and. Well, I guess just the community, really. It just seems to be that we have very different visions, and it's really a bummer. It's kind of scary to think about what the future is. I mean, how are we supposed to get shiny Koraidon and Miraidon? We just wait for the next game, and we hope they're not locked? Like, I don't really get it. Is there even a plan? Is that even being thought of by the team? I partially feel like it's not. And, I'm sure a lot of people might even argue it shouldn't be. It's a waste of resources to worry about shiny Pokemon. I think those people are fucking nuts. I think shiny Pokemon has become such an important part of the game at this point. I just feel like they should have a whole team dedicated to shiny Pokemon at this point. It's just crazy. Right? Yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy how different the devs seem to be thinking from us. I mean, I personally think that we should go back to 1 out of 8,000 for shinies odds, but that's probably a whole different video in itself. But it's like, man, if we're all going to get 5 shinies a playthrough, can we at least just make all the Pokemon be shiny available? I think that just makes sense. I don't know. You're really going to make me boot up Brilliant Diamond? Probably my least favorite Pokemon game. But it also has my most hours than any Pokemon game ever. By, like, maybe double. Seriously. Brilliant Diamond. Only because it's a great shiny hunting game. Seriously, it is. It actually is a great shiny hunting game. It's got a lot of legendaries. It's got a pretty okay, decent deck size. The odds are kind of shit. But, man, the game looks like shit. Plays like shit. But whatever, you know what I mean? It's brilliant. It's Diamond. It's basically just old school Diamond. You know what I mean? It's just crazy that I have to play I think it's a third-party game. I don't think Gamefreak made that. It's just crazy. I have to go to a third-party game to shiny hunt my Pokemon and give more hours to a game I actively dislike. Yeah, I don't know. It really is a bummer. And I know a lot of other people are frustrated as well. I've seen a lot of vocal people just on Twitter and on Reddit and whatnot. People are kind of just bummed, I haven't even talked about, I got the shiny charm in this game. That thing goes in the garbage pretty much. It's nice for outbreaks here and there, but you don't even really need it. Outbreaks are so fast. It is definitely the shittiest. It's my first shiny charm too. Going in the garbage. You're actually just pointless having it. Not going to do any legend hunting. Can't even do mythical hunting. It is definitely a bummer. So, but, I'm always here curious to see what you guys have to say. As always, I want to hear your guys' thoughts, your guys' opinions. Am I overreacting? Am I not mad enough? You guys, please tell me. I don't know. It's crazy. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that makes so much sense. I'm sure that a Gamefreak employee could sit me down in 30 seconds and explain to me why all my shiny Pokemon are fucking locked. I'm sure they could do it. I'm sure he could. But you know what? I don't care. Fuck them. Alright? Until they do that, I'm going to be angry at them and tell them they need to fix this shit. Alright? They really, really do. Oh my gosh. I'm kind of wrapping now. I'm not going to lie. I really wanted this to be under 10 minutes, and we're coming up on 20 now, so. That's usually how it goes with our videos. Maybe when I edit it down, you know, I'm able to cut some crap out. But thank you guys very much for watching. I seriously do appreciate it. This was definitely a talk, because even now I'm thinking of so many things I should have said and I want to bring up. But I want to wrap here. I'm already talking too much. So thank you guys very much for watching. Please let me know what you guys think. And I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Maybe some Pokemon content. Unlikely. Who knows? Bye-bye.